I'm Michael Hasted, and I'm directing John Mortimer's comedy, The Doc Brief, in the studio at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham in October. The play is set in the cells beneath the courtroom, just before the start of a trial. Fowl is accused of murdering his wife, and he has been allocated a barrister, a Doc Brief, to defend him. The barrister is played by Mark Hyde, and I asked him what first attracted him to the role.
First of all, it was the fact that it was a two-hander. Secondly, it was the fact that I got a chance to work with Tweedy, who I think could well turn out to be quite an exciting actor. He's certainly a very exciting clown, and I just thought it's a new avenue, and it'll be exciting to go down that road because you're not quite sure what's at the end of it.
But you've worked with Tweedy before.
I worked with Tweedy on a couple of occasions. In fact, maybe three. I think we've done 3 pantos together, 2 or 3 anyway, and kind of know what he's like. And I've done a lot of scenes with him, so you kind of, I've got to read him, through his eyes, and kind of know where he's going, because he gets a twinkle every so often. So you kind of know where he's going, and then you sort of give him a bit of a glare, and then he doesn't go there.
But hopefully that's not going to be a problem with this.
No, because it's a straight play, and he knows that.
So tell me about your character, Morganhall.
Well, he's the barrister that's been allocated to look at, to deal with
the Doc Brief.
The Doc Brief, yeah. He's been given the Doc Brief, and he's waited years. In fact, he's waited his whole career for this one moment. And unfortunately, he's been where they sit in the court. He hasn't been in the most advantageous position for years and years and years. And so when they've done the selection, he's never been picked out. But on that particular day, one of the barristers is ill, and he gets his seat, the optimum seat, and he gets selected. And so he goes down to the cells to talk to Fowl, to try and, well, he's up for murder, so it's a very serious, obviously a very serious crime. So, but he's delighted because it's his first case, and he says in the play, he said, "My life depends upon it." In fact, it's Fowl's life that depends upon it, but he thinks it's my life depends upon it.
So how long has he been waiting for this first job?
35 years, something like this. I mean, he says actually in the play he sat down to do the crossword puzzle while he waited for his first brief, and 5 years later he was still doing the same crossword puzzle.
So how will you play Morganhall? What's the essence of his character?
Well, I think he's a bit. In fact, he's a bit like most people. I think in most people we have this desire to sort of climb the ladder, and get somewhere. Whether it's I want to play Hamlet, and then when you get there, actually maybe I didn't really want to play Hamlet. It's or I want the birthday invitation. Please invite me to the party. Please invite me to the party. And when you get to the party, all you want to do is go home. And in many ways, that's how Morganhall is, and in many ways, Fowl is the same. They have the pair of them have a mutual dependency, and it's like most things in life. We've discussed this before, you and I, when we've said, the best thing about an acting job is the day you get it, and it's the same thing. And so you draw from yourself, where you've aspired to do something or to get hold of something or achieve something. And actually, when you get it, you think, well, big deal. Did I really want that?
But he is quite inept, isn't he? I mean,
he's useless. He's totally useless.
I mean, do you think that's because he's inherently useless, or it's just a lack of practice, a lack of chances? I mean, to a certain extent, this play represents, or this trial represents his last chance, isn't it?
It probably is his last chance to prove himself. I think you're right. I think it's a lack of practice, like everything else. If you're doing it every day, he talks about the barristers that are busy, and he's not one of the busy ones. But he enjoys the ritual of being the barrister, having his lunch at the same place and eating the same things, talking to the same people. But actually, when push comes to shove, he doesn't really want it. I mean, like Fowl,
Fowl is the Tweedy.
Yeah, he's the criminal. There's similarities there in the fact that yes, he wanted to be married and do stuff, but at the end of the day, he was more happy just with his budgies. And even going to the budgie fancier's lunch. When he gets there, he looks forward to it all year, but when he gets there, he wants to go home.
Sure.
And Morgan...
That's the wonderful thing about anticipation, it never disappoints.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, booking a holiday, the best bit is the anticipation before you go. And then you go and, like me, you get stung and you wish you were at home and had never gone in the first place.
I mean, there's an awful lot in the law, which is, and being a barrister, which is ritual, isn't there? I mean, do you think these people come to need it?
You're right. I mean, and he describes in the play, all the hard work he's had to put in to get where he is today. And actually, he knows the job. He knows the business. He just can't deliver. And whether it's because he's totally inept, or whether it's because he just hasn't had the chance to practice and use his skills. It's like being an actor. If you came out of drama school and you don't get a job for 35 years, you're not going to be very good, are you?
I mean, being a barrister is very much like being an actor, isn't it? I mean, they're given a part and they have to perform it.
I mean, with Morganhall, he's waited all his... He's really excited at the beginning. He's waited 35 years for this one moment. And actually, in rehearsal, which is what he does in the cells with the criminal, with Fowl, he's actually pretty good. And he knows his stuff. And he's quite excited about going into court. And he goes into court actually full of confidence. But as soon as he stands up, it totally deflates. Now, whether it deflates because he stands up and the words just don't come out, or he gets, let's say, stage fright, or whether it's he stands up and says, do you know, I've got to the top of the mountain. Did I really, really want to get here? Because he actually says, sometimes you just feel like just being at home and putting your slippers on or putting your head on your pillow. And
because the problem for Morganhall is that there is no debate, because Fowl freely admits he's killed his
although
wife.
he tries to say to him, you think you killed your wife. Let's just leave it at that. You think you killed your wife. Let's look at it from another angle.
But there's also the aspect that if Fowl pleads guilty, then Morganhall doesn't get his moment in the sun.
He says, when I first met you, I had totally selfish reasons for wanting you not to plead guilty, because the case is over. I want to be able to have my moment in court. He says, I might talk for a day. I might even talk for 2 days. I may get out all my dusty books and totally amaze them with my knowledge. But then, when it happens, he just stands up and there's no case, and he just...
Although it's a comedy, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of pathos in the play. Not least of all because Morganhall has possibly had a wasted life.
It is very sad, and it's very sad that I mean, to use a modern analogy, an awful lot of young, let's say, students go to universities today and take all sorts of degrees with great aspirations, and then come out and actually think, have I got the right degree after all that? Do I actually want to be a chemical engineer or whatever it is, a chemical scientist? Or and the more and more people, more and more young people I speak to, just think, well, I've got this degree, but I wish I hadn't taken that one now.
The characters are very similar in many ways. They both like their own company and live in their own little worlds.
One of the lines that struck me was, he says, are we to deny, he's talking to the imaginary jury, and he says, are we to deny this man the chance for, he says, the silence of an undisturbed life. And I think that's very important, a very important line. I think it says a lot about him, that actually he's absolutely happy in his own little world, his own little niche. He speaks about the young lady he used to meet on London Bridge or Waterloo Bridge, and she had hopes that one day they would be married. He had hopes, but when it actually came to ask her, the moment when they stood on the bridge looking at the sun going down, he thought, do I really want this? And again, he walks away, and it is very, as you said before, it is very sad that he's got complacent, he's got set in his old
comfortable.
way, absolutely comfortable, and as Fowl says, he's absolutely comfortable just with his budgies. he doesn't really want her there. He didn't want to kill her. He just wanted her to go away. And she wouldn't go. And it is sad.
We don't want to give away the ending, but I think Morganhall would probably agree that this was not his finest hour.
Although, having said that, he does go out with a little spring in his step. He does go out with a spring in his step again. Some little fire has been rekindled, right at the very end.
But it is, in some ways, it is a comedy, and there are absurdist elements to it.
It is absurd somehow.
And not least, imagining this guy has been sitting on this bench in the court waiting for a job for 35 years and never getting it.
Yeah, and always having the bowl of soup and a roll, tomato soup and a roll every day for 35 years, and every day putting sixpence under the plate for the girl who, as he says, in 5 years' time won't even remember the sixpence soup. He reflects, actually, no one's ever going to remember him. Which is
Fowl will remember him.
Fowl will, yes. Yeah, he won't forget him in a hurry. But, the people that he works with, he's made no mark. But it's difficult because at times there he's saying he doesn't actually feel like he wants to make a mark, and at other times he's saying, yes, I do. I want the next case. Maybe there will be another case. And then at times he's saying, well, actually, I don't know.
As an actor, what do you think are the keys to unlocking this character? What do you need to find?
Well, I think if I can find the sadness in the fact in him that he's, well, first of all, you've got to find the excitement of firstly getting the brief, but under all that is the sadness that actually all that work, all that training, all that waiting hasn't done him any good whatsoever, and he's actually not as good as he thought he was, and that's a terrible thing, to spend your whole life and then find out that actually you're no good.
But does he admit that to himself at the end? Or does he
I don't want to give that bit away, because
no,
there is a moment where he realises that actually he's been, because Fowl says, I won't say it, but Fowl says something to him that makes him want to, it's very difficult now because I'm going to give it away if I say it, but he decides that's it, and that's all I'll say. He decides that's it, and my life's pointless because I thought I was something, and actually it turns out I'm nothing. And people are not. It's not that the fact that they're not going to notice me; they're actually laughing at me.
Although at the beginning, Morganhall thinks he's God's gift. It's full of bravado and confidence. He puts on his costume and off he goes. In fact, in the first half of the play, they actually rehearse the trial as though it's a play, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And he gets to put the costume on. And actors are like, as soon as they get the costume on and a prop to play with, they start to play. And that's exactly what he does in the cell. He plays the part of being a lawyer,
and every part is a period play.
Yeah,
every part is a costume drama.
It is, and he brings all of that to it, and his audience is Fowl, and he gives it all. He gives his Hamlet to Fowl, but he gives his Hamlet to Fowl, but he gives the audience his bottom.